everyone, and welcome back to my channel. And in today's session I want to demonstrate the difference between arrays and vectors in C++. So I'm going to illustrate two simple examples uh, to demonstrate two fundamental differences between arrays and vectors. The one is based on the dynamic resizing. The other one is the memory management. So I'm going to demonstrate two simple examples. So let me start with it. So I have already included the header file iostream. Next, as I'm dealing with the STL container vector, I need this header vector. Okay, sorry, the hashtag. Okay, then as usual, using namespace standard. Okay, okay, then so within the main function I will declare an array of int type, int my array. That's the name of that's the name of the array. Okay, and the size I can say 5, and I also will initialize at the same time 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 and 5. So these are the elements within the array. So instead of mentioning the size 5, I can explicitly declare the size of the array size. I can say 5. Okay, copy this and yeah, so I will keep the size as a constant so that it is not modified. So now, so the array is of size 5 and it is initialized with 5 elements, 1 2 3 4 5. Now I want to print these elements on the console. So let me see. Okay, so now I will use a for loop, and int I, so index starts from 0, the array index starts from 0, so beginning with the first element to the last element of the array. Okay, see out, I want to print. Okay, so the array elements are, okay, I will print with a space between two elements, two consecutive elements. Okay, this must be fine. So now I have the array elements are being printed on the screen, and next I will next line. Okay, suppose say in case of arrays in C++, what happens is once the size is declared, in this case it is size is declared as 5. So dynamically when we try to add a new element, suppose my array of fifth index, if I want to add some new element, say 7, So this statement will definitely throw an undefined behavior, because the size once declared for an array, it is not resizable uh, uh, during the runtime or dynamically. So undefined behavior, so there is no scope for this assignment statement, so it has to be commented. Okay, so that's the behavior of the array once the size is declared. Okay, comment it, comment. Okay, once the size is declared for an array, it is fixed throughout the program. We cannot modify it. So that's the behavior of the array in C++. So now next I will declare a vector, okay, of type int, which means it is holding integer values. Name of the vector is my vector, and I want to initialize. Say 1 2 3 4 5 once again with the same elements. So now once the vector is initialized, now I can print the elements on the console. Okay, double quotation, vector elements are. So I have to use the for loop for printing the vector elements. So here I use the size t, which is nothing but, which represents the unsigned integer. So starting with 0, the index of the first element, and then going to the last. My vector is the name of the vector, and I will access the size of the vector. Okay, and then increment, access every element of the vector. I want to print on the console cout my vector. Okay, my vector, and then index is I. Okay, so once again here I will give a space between two consecutive elements while printing on the console, and then next line, or else it's not required. So here suppose the vector is already initialized with 5 elements, and now if I say my vector, if I want to add a new element to the vector, I can do it during the runtime, because vector is resizable and the size is dynamically flexible. So that's the reason. And that's the reason vectors are more efficient um, when compared to arrays. So suppose if I can add a new element, say 7. Okay, so done. So this statement doesn't lead to any error. So so this is the fundamental difference between the array and a vector. In case of array, the size is fixed, while in case of vector, the size is it's resizable, it's flexible, and dynamically we can change as per our needs. Okay, so now after adding new element, once again I want to print the elements of the vector on the console. So I use the same for loop once again, and so next line what I do is I do print the size of the vector and capacity of the vector on the screen. So size of the vector, so we can use the built-in function my vector dot operator access the built-in function size. Okay, done. Before that, go to the next line, and now I want to print on the console the capacity of the vector. Okay. Oh, okay. I'll do that. Okay, I'll just my vector and then capacity. I will access this built-in function. So that's it. So return 0. Here ends our main function. So this is the simple example demonstrating the difference between array and the vector. This is a fundamental difference, that is the fixed size and the flexible size, the respective nature of an array and a vector in C++. So here the size of the vector is nothing but the number of elements the vector is containing. So here in this example, after pushing 7, the vector contains 6 elements. Okay, and what about the capacity? The capacity of the vector is the memory space allocated for that vector. So as I told, the size is flexible and it is resized dynamically as in then we add a new element. So the vector capacity, it is said that it exponentially doubles the current size, but it doesn't need to be that way. It depends. It actually depends upon the STL STL versions and the compiler which is being used in our which is being used by the programmers. So depending on that, the capacity is the capacity is decided for the vector, but basically the capacity is minimum equal to the size of the vector. Okay, and whenever we try to add a new element to the vector dynamically, then a new block of memory is being created by the vector, so that the new element is being added efficiently to the container, to the vector container. So let's see this output. Hope you guys have understood the difference what I have. Okay, so this is what I was telling. So 1 second, I haven't used the new line. So here, so let me run so that it's more clear and precise. So here you go. The array elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as initialized, and even the vector elements are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 as initialized. But we can, in case of vectors, we can add a new element dynamically, even after declaring the size. Okay, so that's the fundamental difference. Whereas in case of arrays, we cannot add a new element. It doesn't allow, because the size remains fixed throughout the program. So this is the fundamental example, and fundamental difference. Okay, sorry, fundamental difference. And the other difference I want to demonstrate is in case of arrays, the memory management is done manually, whereas for vectors, the memory management is done automatically. So that I want to show it with a simple example. So for that, I need to comment this current code. So I will comment this whole, okay, till here. Okay, 1 second. I want to comment it till here. So where is this? Once again, okay, better. I want to comment it till here. Fine. Okay, now I will illustrate a simple example. Okay, now here I want to declare a pointer array. Okay, I will take the integer data type and pointer sign asterisk, and the array name is my array. Okay, so here dynamically memory has to be allocated, so I use the new operator. So as I told you, arrays memory management is done manually, so the programmer has to use the new operator. Manually it is done. Okay, new operator int, and the size, let me explicitly mention the size. Array size as 5. Okay, so many number of bytes should be allocated dynamically for the array named my array. Okay, now after declaring this array, I will use a for loop for assigning the elements and printing the elements on the console. Okay, simple for loop int I starting with the index. Okay, what am I doing?